Good question. What's a homeschool evaluation? What's the deal with that? And let me preface this with a couple disclaimers. When I explain what evaluations are, I'm talking about my state, my district in Florida. And I am going to be speaking based upon what I've been told by the person who heads up the homeschool office at our county district office. So if you want to make a comment about, hey, no, I was told this, I don't know what to say. I'm literally going verbatim off of emails and phone calls for the last 5 years. And requirements might be different where you live. So if you are curious about your state, your district, etc., go on websites, email people, because what I'm saying might not apply to your area. And two, there is no right or wrong version of an evaluation. The perks of homeschool is you are catering education to your child and their needs and their strengths and weaknesses, and helping build up their weaknesses and playing into their strengths. And are there people out there who mismanage and purposefully misuse the homeschool system anywhere? Unfortunately, yes. We are not those individuals. We don't use anything and do anything to try to bypass something or get ahead in something. So how we evaluate and the methods we choose and who we choose to do them with, we find best suit our children, and I'll explain why. You can have a one-on-one personal evaluation by a certified teacher or a licensed psychologist. And there are literal businesses now where either former teachers, retired teachers, current teachers have set up tutoring and or homeschool evaluation businesses where they will come and evaluate your child. Now, does that mean they come to your house? Do they do it virtually? They might just look at schoolwork and then let you know. They might want to talk to the student. It's going to be up to them. I can't say how it works because we have not gone the route of like hiring a business to do this. When I was homeschooled, my mom reached out to some of my former teachers to do my evaluation. And when I was homeschooled, you could also take the CTBS test, which was outdated by the time I was being homeschooled. They had already switched over to FCAT. These might be, abbreviations you've never heard of, but if you're a longtime Floridian / former student in Florida of a millennial age, you might know what I'm talking about. I don't know that they have a test that they provide now to homeschoolers should you choose to go that route. I did not see that on the checklist, and that was not explicitly told to me. If you're going the evaluator route, you find the individual. You reach out to the business. The state, county, district will not provide you with somebody. You just then submit the paperwork to the district that the evaluation was completed. Also, there are 3 virtual programs you could enroll in, and if you are in one of those 3 programs, you would then submit the transcripts as your end of year evaluation. And then if you're in homeschool group pods and things like that, I don't know how they handle that because we're not involved in that. As for what a one-on-one evaluation looks like I said before, that's going to depend upon the evaluator. They might want to see your lesson plans, which are not required to keep in the state of Florida for the purpose of submitting information to the district, but you can keep it for yourself, and should your evaluator like to see it. And then they might want to see all the work that your child has done, and they may or may not want to speak to you or to your child. When I was homeschooled, I was right there with my former teachers evaluating me, going through the work. They talked to me, they talked to my mom, they talked to us individually, and went from there. From our perspective currently with my son and now my daughter, we have done evaluations with a teacher friend and my husband. And before you go, your husband, we doubly, triply checked every single year, hey, can somebody who is related to the child do the evaluation? And that's fine as long as they are actively certified. You're gonna go, your husband's gonna take it easy on your kids. And he was harder than when our teacher friends have come to evaluate. And I think it's on purpose to avoid people going, you just check them off as passing. And no, for my husband, and then what the teacher friends who have evaluated did is he gets these statewide benchmarks of what is required in the grade level that my son is in or my daughter is in, and does a one-on-one conversation with me where it's literally like, hey, has he or she been introduced to this concept? Have they mastered the concept or have an understanding, beginning understanding level of the concept? Can they do X, Y, Z? And then he's looking at the workbooks, the texts that we have read, my lesson plans detailing how something we've done relates to something else. And sometimes I go, no, we have not done that. Or if this needs to be mastered by the end of the grade level, no, they have not mastered it. Or we have touched upon it, there's a general understanding of it, and we continue on with it in the next grade level, because there's a lot of building in grades where you're introduced here, you master it a little more here, next year more. And then I leave and he calls in my son or my daughter and does an oral checkup on things. Can you count from here to here? And now backwards, recite this. Can you do this math problem, either on paper, with your fingers, in your head, whatever grade level we're in, for example. And then he has conversations of, hey, what do you remember learning in social studies, science? Or he'll bring up, a specific subject and go, tell me about it. Just again to see if there is a general knowledge of understanding, or they might go, I don't remember that. And that's just honest. And then he goes, hey, what do you hope to learn next year? And my husband got a little list from my daughter. Are they things expected in first grade? Nope. Are we going to ignore what she'd like to learn? Nope. It'll just get factored into what's expected of first grade. And then after he talks to my son or daughter, or for example, yesterday, my daughter, he sat me down and go, hey, on point here, right on track, ahead over here. You can pull back a bit if you want, or keep going, but you don't have to really focus here yet. Or time to work on this. And then gives me a bullet point list of what is expected of first grade so that I can stay on track and know what's going to be expected of her by the end of the school year. And total upfront honesty. She needs to work on being able to orally explain and give opinions on something she has read aloud with me, or something we have watched, like a YouTube educational video. She needs to work on orally explaining things and giving opinions on things, even if it's something as simple as, I didn't like that because of XYZ. Doesn't always have to be a positive opinion. And also more number line work of filling in number lines, creating number lines. So is it enough to say she doesn't pass kindergarten? No. Those things didn't need full mastery. She just needs more mastering work in those things. And that's what I'll do. And then I had a checklist of what is expected of her, and I already had workbooks and textbooks that covered those things in the wings waiting for her, and they're pulled out now, waiting for her to start first grade. She gets a week off while I organize things and plan things, and then we'll start back up. So that's how we handle it here. That's not how other people handle it. My husband also does homeschool evaluations for others who need it. and does the same thing that he does for my kids. One-on-one interview, breakdown, looking at the work, talks to the parent, talks to the student, re-meets with the parent. They can take upwards of 2.5 hours, depending upon what's going on. It took us almost 2.5 hours to go through everything. So yeah, that's what's going on. I mean, last year when my husband evaluated for my son, said he needed more computer time and he needed more independent reading time, and we work on those things. He tells me, hey, got to work on these things, and I work on them. But it's never enough to say he has not progressed enough to move on to the grade, or she has not progressed enough to move on to the next grade. So yeah, he's pretty structured and strict, and keeps everyone in line of what is needed. And I feel confident that my kids are getting the best education right now, and they feel they are as well. And yeah, okay. But thank you for asking, because it's a good question, because not a lot of people know. And like I said, it's going to be different everywhere. And you may or may not agree with the process, and that's okay too. Everyone's entitled to their opinions. I just ask respectful opinions. All right. I hope everyone is doing okay, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.